What's going on, YouTube? Come back at you with another video. Okay, so this is interesting. This is more paperwork concerning this whole dark low situation. The government is moving to admit these pieces into evidence. I'm gonna show you exactly what they're looking to do. This is called the motion of lemony. I'm gonna read it to you. We're gonna skip some of this. They're just basically trying to admit this stuff. The United States of America, by its undersigned attorneys, William M. McSwain, United States Attorney for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, and Justin Ashenfelter, Assistant United States Attorney for the District, seeks a pretrial ruling that it may admit, in its case, in chief, the following evidence as permitted under Federal Rule of Evidence 404B. Evidence concerning cooperating witness DONTEZ Stewart's prior relationship with the defendant to the extent that it was forged while they were incarcerated together in state prison and evolved once they were both released and engaged in drug trafficking together in Philadelphia. And evidence concerning a rap song and music video produced by the defendant in which his lyrics provide clear insight into his motivation to tamper with a witness against his associate, Abdul West, who was the subject of the trial the government alleges the defendant attempted to influence. Before I even go any further, this is another thing too. I should have stated this on the other video that I did. If you saw it, I did the video of the other paperwork where Dark Low was in the interrogation. They're also looking to admit that evidence, and parts of that interview they're trying to use, it looks like, to piece together this relationship with Dark Low being this close-knit relationship, and that they basically have this long history. So they're using, it looks like they're trying to use his words against him for sure. And this is exactly why you never talk to these people without an attorney. Let's see. Again, this is all allegations, though. This is what they're alleging. We'll read the background. It says, on November 7, 2019, a cooperating witness named DONTEZ Stewart, previously referred to as CW1, was scheduled to testify for the government in a trial captioned United States v. Abdul West before the Honorable Michael Bailson, which had commenced on November 4, 2019. The charges against the four defendants on trial arose from their involvement in a violent drug conspiracy in which its members, including Stewart, were alleged to have sold various controlled substances, possessed firearms, and carried out at least one murder connected to their illegal enterprise. Those defendants are members of a gang called OBH, an abbreviation for Original Block Hustlers, a group that is notorious for gun violence and drug dealing in the Philadelphia and Delaware area. Stewart was an associate of OBH who committed acts of violence to further OBH's criminal activity. The defendant is a self-employed rap artist who uses the stage name Dark Low and a confirmed member of OBH. Other members of OBH, including Abdul West or Arab, are also rappers with a noteworthy fan base in and around Philadelphia and on social media websites like YouTube and Instagram. According to Stewart and a social media analysis conducted by the FBI, as well as a review of the lyrics and music videos posted by the defendant is a known associate of the West defendants who were on trial in November. A day before he was scheduled to testify on November 6, 2019, Stewart received a letter with a return address in Philadelphia from sender Ron Harvey, a name the defendant has previously and regularly used as an alias to refer to himself in rap songs. The letter Stewart received was postmarked November 4th, 2019. The government submits that the letter is in no uncertain terms, contains several obvious threats to Stewart. In pertinent part, the letter read, let's keep going down, skip that little piece. I'm going sick be front row in the courtroom. Me, Cheese, and a few others. FBI agents familiar with the investigation in the OBH know Cheese to be RW, a known associate of the defendant and the West defendants on trial. The letter continued, warning Stewart that you will be known as the Rat Bull, and that when Stewart goes to federal prison, I don't want you to get stabbed up and start bleeding. Agents believed the reference to stabbed up and start bleeding were obvious threats of violence against Stewart's person in the event Stewart actually testified at trial. In addition, the government submits the letter threatening the rape of Stewart's close acquaintance, BM. T, I'm going to fuck her little ugly, dirty, gullible ass just for you, my guy. Agents know that BM is a reference to a paramour of Stewart and the mother of Stewart's child. Based on the agent's training and experience, they believe that BM was an abbreviation for baby mama. The passage from the letter supported the conclusion that this was an obvious threat, that the mother of his child was at risk of being raped if Stewart actually testified on trial. I'm sorry, but it just sounds crazy to me because honestly, and I've said this in the other videos, I should probably wait till the end to give you all this, but I don't see that as threats. That's a stretch. Like, you really have to be stretching and reaching in order to be able to make that a threat. That's just my thoughts on it. Interesting. On November 7, 2019, the defendant was present in the courtroom prior to Stewart's testimony. In fact, the defendant had been present in the courtroom throughout the trial since it began on November 4th, 2019. On the evening of November 7, 2019, FBI Special Agent Benjamin Hallowell was preparing to conduct surveillance of the defendant's home in Clayton, Delaware, while members of the FBI prepared to obtain a search warrant for items that contained the defendant's handwriting so the items could be compared to the letter Stewart or mailed to Stewart. While agents were waiting for the search warrant to be authorized by a magistrate judge in the District of Delaware, several FBI agents were present at an Acme supermarket located a few miles from the defendant's residence. Upon exiting the restroom area of the Acme, Agent Hallowell encountered the defendant, who confronted Hallowell and inquired as to whether Hallowell was following him. Hallowell confirmed that he was law enforcement, and that the agents were obtaining a search warrant to obtain a sample of his handwriting and a search of his residence. The defendant then inquired as to whether the reason for the warrants was related to the letter he personally mailed to Stewart, and then he stated that the letter he sent to Stewart was not a threat. The defendant acknowledged that he wrote the letter, that he mailed it, and that he was present at the trial when Stewart was scheduled to testify. When asked by FBI Special Agent Kevin Lewis whether the intention of the letter he mailed was to express the defendant was not happy with Stewart's decision to testify, the defendant acknowledged that it was. A search warrant was later executed at the defendant's residence, where FBI agents recovered in the defendant's bedroom a loaded Beretta 9mm pistol with an obliterated serial number, accompanied by one extended magazine holding 32 rounds and an additional 15-round magazine loaded with 15 rounds, in addition to a plastic bag with 33 rounds. The defendant admitted the pistol belonged to him, and he directed agents to its location within his bedroom. Later that evening, the defendant was advised of his Miranda rights during a videotaped interview at the FBI's Philadelphia office. Upon waiving his rights, that just makes me sick to even read it. Upon waiving his rights to a lawyer and against self-incrimination, the defendant provided a recorded statement admitting to, among other things, sending the letter and possessing the firearm in his house despite having a felony conviction. While incarcerated, the defendant has had phone privileges, and on November 12, 2019, he made 2 phone calls to 2 different women from the FDC. The calls were consensually recorded by the FDC monitoring system. During these conversations, the defendant discussed the crimes with which he was charged and made several admissions regarding his guilt. Again, this is all alleged. This is just what they're alleging. They're trying to have this all introduced into court as actual evidence. On November 26, 2019, the defendant was indicted by a federal grand jury and charged with witness tampering and felon in possession of a firearm. At trial, the government will rely, in part, on the videotape of the defendant's custodial interview as well as the recorded jail calls. The government will also rely on the testimony of several other witnesses. Government Request 1, evidence related to background information. The government intends to call Stewart as a trial witness. He is expected to testify about how he knows the defendant and the circumstances surrounding the West trial, his cooperation against the defendants in trial, and his receipt of the letter the defendant mailed to him while incarcerated at the FDC, as well as communication therein. Stewart should be permitted to testify about his prior criminal relationship with the defendant. The government requests that the court permit Stewart to testify about how he met the defendant while they were both in Pennsylvania State Prison in or about 2009. The government also requests that Stewart be permitted to testify about how he worked for the defendant upon his release from prison in 2011, selling crack cocaine on Darien Street in North Philadelphia, on city blocks where the defendant controlled the drug trade. Man, this is deep. The testimony provides relevant background information about their relationship as close friends and business associates, and also establishes why the defendant would write letters to Stewart while he was in jail for murder and drug charges. Indeed, the defendant and Stewart corresponded by letter on numerous occasions before the West trial. Notably, the tone of the defendant's writings to Stewart changed following Stewart's cooperation plea, when the defendant learned that Stewart would plead guilty against his friend Abdul West. Stewart's testimony about his history with the defendant and West is incredibly important because it goes to the very heart of why the defendant's letter was intended to influence Stewart's cooperation and trial testimony against West and his co-defendants. Only a cursory review of the language used reveals that the defendant's letter to Stewart smacks of disbelief and betrayal. Further, the jury will plainly see that Stewart has a large and visible tattoo on his throat that reads OBH, and he also has the defendant's name, Dark Low, tattooed on his arm. Plainly, these men were very close because they spent time in prison together, they sold drugs together, and they were aware of various acts of violence committed to further OBH's criminal enterprise and image. Hit the like for me too, because I got to read all this for you. It's like 20 plus pages. Indeed, such evidence shows the relationship and the connections between the defendant, Stewart West, and their OBH associates, providing important background for the jury as to how each person was familiar with one another and why the defendant did not want Stewart to testify against West. Without his testimony, the trial evidence would be awkwardly focused on the letter itself, which would be confusing and present an incomplete account of why it was sent and what the references in the letter are intended to convey to the reader. And I'm gonna stop right there for 1 second to focus on what they're saying because it's very key. What they're saying is, without this testimony of Stewart, including mixing it with what Dark Low was telling them allegedly during their interview, which was basically corroborating the things that Stewart was saying, without all that, they wouldn't have much. All they would have is this letter. And if you ask me, the letter is not clear as far as being threats. Without question, it's a stretch. Again, it's a reach. They're really pushing it if that's all they have is this letter as far as witness tampering. So it looks like they're looking to get DONTEZ Stewart to testify, and they're also looking to have Dark Low's alleged testimony to these people who are interrogating him, they want to have that all as well, again, as corroborating information. Let's keep going. This is interesting as well, where they're talking about using his lyrics from the song that came out shortly after the indictment happened, Allegations. I'm going to go through this. B, government request to evidence related to the defendant's rap lyrics video. In addition to certain testimony providing necessary context for the relationships outlined above, the government also seeks to offer as trial evidence certain rap song lyrics and a corresponding music video featuring the defendant under his stage name, Dark Low. The song, entitled Allegations, was produced in October 2018, and it clearly expressed how the defendant and his associates in OBH felt betrayed by a cooperating witness who was assisting in the prosecution of Abdul West, or ARAB, West stage name. This evidence is relevant and necessary to prove the essential elements of the witness tampering charge and the indictment, namely knowledge and intent. This evidence also established the defendant's motive for sending the letter. As discussed below, evidence in this form of the defendant's lyrics and music video falls squarely within the permitted uses provision contained in Rule B. Okay, I'm not going to read all this. They're just making the legal arguments. We're going to scroll down to where they're actually talking about this. We'll keep going with this. Hold on, let me keep going, actually. We'll skip that. Hang on, you got to bear with me for a second. Okay, it says the defendant's culpable mental state is at issue in this case. At the probable cause hearing argued before the Honorable Lynn A. Satarsky on November 13, 2019, defense counsel's main point of issue was that the government could not prove that the defendant actually intended to intimidate or threaten Stewart by mailing him the letter on the eve of the trial. Testimony. Further, several phone call conversations between defendant and his associates recorded at the FDC establish that the defense at trial will rest on whether the government can prove he intended to threaten Stewart with the letter. Because the defendant's knowledge and intent, as well as motivation, will be the central issues at trial, evidence surrounding the defendant's publicly available rap lyrics should be admissible under Rule 404. As stated below, this evidence will not be used to establish the defendant's propensity to commit any crime, but instead to offer insight into why he wrote the letter to Stewart, his mental state at the time, and how he has long since harbored a desire to discover the identity of the cooperator against West so he could prevent him from testifying at trial. It is undisputed that the defendant wrote the letter and sent it to Stewart in prison. He has admitted such in his statements to law enforcement and in recorded jail phone calls and emails. The only issue at trial on the witness tampering charge centers around his culpable mind state. This is very interesting. This is how they're going to try to get Dark Low. As stated above, Abdul West, a.k.a. ARAB, was indicted by a federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania in October 2018, and he was charged, along with several others, for committing controlled substances and weapons offenses. West was arrested on the indictment by the FBI October 18, 2018. Okay, here's where it starts getting into the music. On October 27, 2018, the defendant, under his stage name, Dark Low, released a music video for his single entitled Allegations. The video featuring the defendant was posted on YouTube.com by the account We With The Dumb Shit TV, accompanied by the caption, OBH Records presents Dark Low new official music video, Allegations. The first release from Dark Low or any other member of the record label prior to the indictment of ARAB and 9 others. Okay, it says, a review of the YouTube homepage associated with We With The Dumb Shit TV reveals, under its About tab, the channel self purports to be associated with OBH. This channel's main purpose is to bring you the newest music videos and info on one of the best up-and-coming groups of our time, OBH. Leading the way is self-proclaimed Top Goon, Arab, with other artists such as Dark Low, Leak Moss, P90, Smooth, and many more. Tune in and join the movement. See Exhibit B. As of February 6, 2020, the account's video links have 28,975,649 views on YouTube. Released only 9 days after West's arrest on the federal indictment, the defendant's Dark Low let me say that one more time. Released only 9 days after West's arrest on the federal indictment, the defendant's, or Dark Low's, rap lyrics to the song Allegations are as follows. Bold indicates, emphasis added. Okay, let's read the lyrics that they're trying to have added to this whole evidence list. I bet you don't see the gang name understatements. They say I'm focused now, and that's an understatement. Under surveillance, the feds did investigations. Not guilty. Free my brother. That's just allegations. Hunt you down. Shoot you down. You know my occupation. Home invasion. 20 bricks in the basement. It was sweet. Aired them out. Then picked up the cases. Lawyer said 200 flat to pick up the cases. Hit the bag money, gather the young Hank gathers. Nah, ball until you fall, nothing really matters. He just ducked the indictment, that was Floyd's status. Name ring, name clean, but that boy has it. Free Biggie with the weight off. My pockets gained from the weight loss. Lil bro had took the state charge. They say low, ab booked, you got to take charge. Like I ain't know already, I swear, I hate y'all. Matter of fact, y'all get off ab dick, get off Vlad dick. We really live in this. You on some rap shit. I was still peeking through the blinds. I got some gaslit. I did that time standing on my hands. Last trip though. Until my dude's free, they all live through me though. Until my dude's free, they all live through me though. Or until my dude's dead, they all live through me though. Whip game on a bean, look like Kid Capri. I'm in the A. I'm on a mansion, I'm Jermaine Dupri. I'm in a mansion, I'm Jermaine Dupri. When you think of pain, you should think of me. Who was you telling on? Who was telling on my dog? I can't wait to see. Who was telling on my dog? I can't wait to see. Who was telling on my dog? I can't wait to see. Ain't nothing changed. 2, I still rearrange you. Get you put on a shirt and turn to an angel. Fed sweep. Hold on, let me just stop for a second. It's crazy how they're only picking little certain lyrics here and there. They're not using the whole thing. They're saying the emphasis is on these lyrics. Get you put on a shirt, you turn to an angel. Fed sweep, you dropped an album. Mixtape was steady jet skiing out of San Domingo. And I ain't even posted, you would never know it. My white boy official sour, and he say he grow it. I told youngin, you don't show it if you ain't gonna blow it. He said, another body on the streets, the ambulance will tow it. I break you off when we recoup. It hurt my heart to see my brother shackled up in that green suit. I'm drinking water, eating clean fruit. I could pull out a tree, clean out the root. I steamed out the booth, foot pursuit. I threw on the steamer of the roof, Badlands, OBH. You probably seen me on the deuce. Everybody call my phone. They seen my man on the news. Everybody separated. They split the gang up in twos. Who was telling on my dog? I can't wait to see. Who was telling on my dog? I can't wait to see. It says, if the above reference caption to the video did not make it clear that allegations was about the arrest of West and his co-defendants, several passages from the lyrics plainly stated the defendant was disturbed by West's federal arrest and sought to discover who was cooperating against West and other OBH members. For instance, the passage, they say low, ab, booked, you got to take the charge. Like I ain't know already, I swear I hate y'all, is a clear reference to West getting arrested or booked, and the defendant, low, was being called on to lead or take charge of OBH in West's absence. Further, the defendant made clear that he was disturbed by seeing West in jail at FDC. It hurt my heart to see my brother shackled up in that green suit. It is common knowledge that FDC inmates like West wear prison-issued jumpsuits that are green in color. Finally, the defendant's ode to finding out who was cooperating witness against West is unequivocal. Who was telling on my dog? I can't wait to see. Indeed, that refrain is stated 5 times in the song. The defendant further used blatant references to violence in support of how he hoped to inflict pain or death on those responsible for cooperating against West. Hunt you down, shoot you down. You know my occupation. When you think of pain, you should think of me. Another body on the streets, the ambulance will tow it. Finally, the defendant did not mince words when he insisted that these threats of violence were not simply a form of artistic expression. We really live in this. You want some rap shit? The government submits that the court should permit these rap lyrics in the defendant's music video. Let me just see. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to keep going because this pretty much sums it up. This is what they're looking to do. They're looking to use some of these lyrics. They're also looking to use this witness, they're looking to use this whole testimony that was given allegedly during this interview. So this is not looking very good to me as far as Dark Low is concerned. It looks like the feds are really trying to build this up into something. I'm going to be honest with you. Had there not have been this song, I don't even think this song, in my opinion, could be used as evidence, but this isn't the way that the feds work. And it was not a very good idea to put this song out right after this whole situation happened. It kind of could be interpreted as, shoving your nose at the feds. I don't really see the whole witness tampering in this. I think it's a stretch. Again, the evidence really isn't there to support. They're leaning on some things, picking out lyrics here and there. They're not saying that the whole song is about the situation and witness tampering. They're trying to find little lines in there to make it seem like it goes along with the story that they're trying to tell. Overall, I don't think that their case is really that strong. I think that there's probably some potential issues here, but it's going to be hard if Dark Low has a really good attorney and they're able to block this evidence from coming in to record as far as being used in this case. Then it's going to be hard for the government to prove that that letter was a threat, number one. They're going to have to prove that these lyrics were connected to this whole thing. They're a witness tampering, that these lyrics are, a part of this whole situation. And then they're going to have to rely on DONTEZ Stewart's testimony. And DONTEZ Stewart, we know, is somebody who was caught up in this whole indictment situation as far as being the cooperating witness in the case against Abdul West, Arab. So his credibility, in my opinion, is highly questionable. So it looks like the feds are moving forward, acting like they have a lot of evidence, and they're trying to make it seem like there's a lot here. In my eyes, it's not looking good, but at the same time, I'm thinking a lot of these things that they're trying to do are stretches and are just them trying to go further than what's actually there. I don't believe Dark Low threatened this dude in this letter. I think it would be extremely hard, if not impossible, to prove that anything that he wrote in that letter was actual, threats. Then, had Dark Low not have spoke to these people, allegedly, like what they're alleging, they would have none of that whole, testimony, whatever you want to call it, to try to connect these dots that they're missing. So that wasn't a good look. Hopefully Dark Low is able to block them from being able to use all these different things. If not, I still think that, as far as in my opinion, a lot of this stuff is just circumstantial. It just seems like they're trying to put something there that might actually not be there. hopefully for Dark Low, he's able to, you know, get out of this situation and beat this situation. Comments. I appreciate you watching. Hit the like, subscribe, share, leave some feedback. Ring the notification bell too if you're subscribed. I appreciate you. Peace.